Here we go. Welcome back, everybody. We are live. Helen and I are both here. And we want to say, get in the comments now. Let us know who is here. How is your week going? Happy Tuesday to you all. Helen, how are you feeling? It's a new week. We're busy. How's things?
I am amazing, thank you. It's nice to be back, isn't it? Because we had a week where we didn't do any together. So it's nice to be doing some nice lives again now.
And engage with people as well. Like, please do. Like, let us know who's here. How are you doing? What are you up to? I just feel like at the moment, I feel so supercharged by the amount of incredible things that we're doing. And I want to say like a massive thank you to you, Helen, because you are just like making this all so much more possible by having your support, having your help with Success School. Honestly, guys, our whole mission is to help as many people as we can, as possible, live happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives. And we're trying to do it in the most affordable way. We're trying to do as much as we can do for free. These kind of live videos being one of those ways. We've, of course, just announced our 4-day free challenge that's taking place next month in September. There's just loads of stuff happening. And I want to start actually, before we dive into today's kind of little live session that we're doing right now. Well, first thing I will say is today's topic is about overwhelm. So just give us some comments. Anybody struggling with overwhelm at the moment? Or if not, is it something that maybe you do find you struggle with quite often that comes up from time to time? Let us know in the comments, because it's just good to know, you know, a little bit about you, who's here and who struggles with it. Also, if anybody's got any questions for us, please do stick some questions in here. We're going to be about 45 minutes to an hour doing this live. So this is an opportunity to really engage with us, interact and answer some questions. So while people are writing comments, Helen, you messaged me yesterday and I thought it'd be a nice way to start this video if you're comfortable doing. Would you want to just share a little bit about what you messaged me yesterday?
Yeah, so I went for a health check, like a full health check, everything, to see where we are, because obviously I'm 40 and that's when you find that a lot of health conditions start creeping with people, and obviously you need to start really taking things seriously then. So I went for a health check, and basically what they said to me was that I was as good as can possibly be. They did blood tests, which I'd obviously had beforehand, was waiting for the results of that. They did blood pressure, weight, everything like that, and then it collated all of the information. And then they're looking at, in particular, your risk of heart disease and stroke, which obviously increases with age and is obviously something that we need to take really seriously. And they said basically what they're looking for is it to be below 10%. And my result came back at 0.7%. So less than 1%, which I was absolutely thrilled with. But also the reason I texted Matt was because it was like, this is all down to the work that we've done over the last 5 years, where I've been coached by Matt, I've been in Success School. Because my lifestyle before that, those results definitely would not have been the case now. It's been 5 years of changing all of my habits, all of my nutrition, my fitness for the better. And as a result, my health is now in an optimal place, which was massively reassuring to hear, I have to say, but also really kind of drilled home to me the fact that this stuff is really important, because to be going into your 40s in good health, like health is wealth. You can't put a price on that. And I know previously I'd struggled with a number of things, particularly food. I used to starve myself, like eating disorder territory, to try and achieve an aesthetic rather than look at what's healthy. what's going to serve my body, what's going to make me well. And to have been part of Success School, to have listened to so many experts over the years, the Zooms, to understand and educate myself about, it's not just about how you look, it's about what's going on the inside. It's about nourishing your body. It's about looking after it that way. It's really changed the game for me. And although obviously, you know, I want to look good, I understand that there's far, far more to it than that now. And now I look after myself for health and to get those results. And like in the past, I've had deficiencies and things like that. And now everything is bang on where it should be and right. And it's just like, it's such a massive turnaround for me. And also I used to smoke. So obviously my risk of heart disease would have been far higher had I continued to. I stopped smoking nearly 3 years ago now. And obviously the risk factors come down massively with that. I exercise all the time now, and I actually really, really love exercising, not just for physical well-being, for mental well-being as well. I feel like it's helpful.
You weirdo. No one enjoys exercising.
I actually love it, but I think it's finding what you love and doing that, isn't it? It's finding what suits you. I'm definitely not somebody that's in the gym lifting weights and just doesn't, I don't enjoy that, but I do enjoy running. I enjoy walking. I do go to the gym and I do a lot of cardio because that's just what I enjoy. Some people hate that and love weights. It's just whatever suits you, isn't it? And I do loads of yoga and stuff like that. So I think that's the thing. It's not one size fits all, but I think just prioritizing this stuff has been massive to me. And I can't thank you enough for that, because you coming on this journey, I came to you with goals to write a book. And definitely didn't come to you going, I need to overhaul my entire lifestyle. But the influence that you've had and the people that you've put me in front of that I've been able to learn from, that has been the outcome of it, I have addressed all of those things, which only stand me in better stead with the rest of my life. Because like we've said, health is wealth.
And this is what like everything has been about for me, like hearing stories like that it's genuinely making a difference. Yes, Success School is my company, it's my business. And at the heart of it, it's about getting results for people. And I think sometimes, because we're working together really closely now at this point, but some days it gets really tough. Like it's a lot constantly trying to be the answer to people's solutions, constantly trying to give value, give things for free for those who are not in a position to pay for it, market in a way that those who are in a position to pay for it see it as being a valuable investment. Getting criticism from people who don't think coaching is a proper industry, and people that mock it or take the mick out of you. Like the reality of building a business like this can be a lot of work. It can be really, really challenging, and it does take a lot of mental strength. Like you have to do the work on yourself to be in a position to do this. But how can I not keep going when you're just one story of many?
Yeah.
Like it just when the days get heavy for me, and when you think you feel a little bit like you're banging your head against a wall, and I want to be totally open. Like people see me showing up and giving advice and creating reels and doing these lives and putting things out there, and people will have whatever interpretation they have of that. The reality is some days it gets a lot, and some days it's really, really tough. And the thing that drives me is not the money. That's one byproduct of doing things well. Like I have a business that's doing well, that pays me thousands of pounds a month without coaching, without podcasting, which by the way, doesn't make me money, without doing the membership, without doing these live calls. So yeah, if you're good at what you do and you're consistent, you can make great money out of coaching. But I'm already in a position where I could make great money, and I'm making good money from my other business. So why do I lean into this so heavily? Because of stories like that. And I'm so passionate about that. Yeah. So well done. Thanks for giving me faith and hope when I need it, because it's just more evidence that this stuff genuinely works. This is an important if you're willing to do the work, and it's sometimes difficult work, right?
Yeah. Definitely. And the thing is as well, these changes don't happen overnight, and it's been a sort of slow and steady process for me to change my mindset to be able to get to a place where I see it more clearly now, and I'm able to serve myself in the right way. But all of that has been through being coached by you in so many different areas, including health and fitness, nutrition, etc. And getting that understanding that actually, you know, maybe the goal is over here, but you need all of these things in place in order to be at your optimal to achieve that goal. And I think that's something that people overlook. They just see a goal and don't understand that there's steps before it that need to be done to make you the person that is able to achieve that goal.
And most of it is up here.
Yeah.
The actual physical strategy / steps in many ways is often quite simple. But the thing that stands between you and that goal is not the physical steps, it's the mindset to implement the physical steps. That's where people struggle. And you're just a shining example. You know, it's been a natural progression to you now being part of the team at Success School because you've done the work on yourself first and foremost. So thanks for sharing that. And hopefully in you sharing that, it just gives someone else a little bit more inspiration that, you know, results can come. And it's been 5 years, right? I mean, there's been loads of wins and results along the way.
Yeah.
But I also want to really make sure that we're giving the right message, which is there is no overnight success. There is no quick fixes or, you know, I think a lot of that can be sold online because it's sexy and it sells and it looks good. The reality is these things do absolutely take time. It is work. You have to do the work and it is ongoing work. But if you're willing to do that, the results come time and time again, right?
Yeah, and sometimes those results aren't that evident and not that measurable, and you know, you can't really see it until, like, obviously I've gone for that health check and it's like, oh, your blood pressure. She said to me, your blood pressure's textbook perfect. Like, it couldn't be more perfect. Somebody with an anxiety disorder that used to smoke 20 a day. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it shouldn't be. That is down to all of the work that I have done to get fit, to look after my health, to start eating properly and looking after myself properly. And it's when over time, those small changes add up to actual physically visible results on a medical test that now I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing. Well, a massive bloody well done, basically, is what we wanted to say at the start of this. Absolutely amazing, so inspiring. And I'm just so genuinely, really, really proud of you and grateful to you as well for now passing on that message and sharing your story to hopefully inspire and help others along the way. So, guys, let's dive into today's content. We've got 8 ways to overcome overwhelm. Please, can you engage with us? Let us know who is here. If you just put in the comments, yes, I am here, so that we know who is here. Because we want engagement. We want to know people are listening. We are real people. This is completely live. And we can see you there commenting on Instagram. We can see you on Facebook. So if you're not commenting, we can also see you're not commenting. So do just let us know. I can see Carol's put a few things here just about Helen speaking there, saying, I'm so pleased for you when you message me. I no longer take my 2 blood pressure meds and I reversed my pre-type 2 diabetes and got better results from my drug trial than I was destined to get before working with you, which is just, again, I mean, Carol's such an inspiration. And obviously a lot of people know that my dad works helping people on the verge of type 2 diabetes. So I hear a lot about that and how really tough that can be if you get type 2 diabetes. So to know Carol was, as she's sort of put there, on the brink of that and she managed to reverse, that's amazing. And we can see Jamie is here. Hey, Jamie. We can see, is it Tobe? Says, hello, Matt. Hello. We've got Pet Business Coach. Hello to you. How are you all doing? So let's dive into this because I know this is huge. Obviously, I'm working with people day in, day out, and this is something that crops up time and time again. You know, we've got a lot in our lives that we're trying to prioritize. We're trying to juggle from personal relationships. Maybe those of you who are parents, you know, there's a lot going on with your children. There's a career. There's a social life. What social life? Some of you might be saying at this point. There's finances, and then, you know, there's fitness. There's health, and I know life, let's just take a moment to acknowledge, like, life is full of obstacles and challenges, and it is at times really tough, right? And naturally can start to feel super, super overwhelming. So hopefully there's at least something in this that I'm going to cover right now that can help you if you resonate with that, if you're either feeling overwhelmed in this moment right now, or if you have been feeling it regularly, or even if you just want to learn this stuff for if it happens again, there's going to be something here to help you. So let's dive in. And throughout this, I want to say to everybody, please do interact. If you have any questions, if there's anything you want me to go a bit deeper on or cover, a little bit further, please put it in here, because this is completely free. We're not charging anything. This is an opportunity to help, to inspire, to support those who engage and those who want it. So let's dive into these 8 ways to overcome overwhelm. The first way is to change the story. What do I mean by that? Well, when you think about those things that I've just covered there about, I've got to do this for work, and I've been really busy and that took longer than I thought, and I've not managed to do that, and the wife's asking this of me, and I've got to do that with kids. The first thing I want you to recognize is none of those things are actually overwhelming. What is overwhelming is the story you're telling yourself about those things. In other words, it's the way you are interpreting those things, right? Your children, work, fitness, partner. What we want to do is stop placing the overwhelm on those things. Some of you might remember a phrase that I've said many times before. If you pass the blame, you pass the power. As long as you're saying that is overwhelming, then whatever that is has the power, is in control of the overwhelm. And there's a phrase that Tony Robbins says, which we've been covering recently on our coaching calls at Success School, which is the story is the glue that will keep you stuck. I always say you never experience life, you experience the life you focus on. So if you're focusing on those things and then creating a story around those things, that this is too much, I'm too stressed, I'm too tired, I can't cope, it's too overwhelming, that's the life you experience, right? But it's not the things itself, it's the story you're telling yourself about these things. Can you just put some love hearts, please, if you're watching live or if you're watching on the replay? Does this make sense as the first step to starting to ultimately reframe it? Because remember, you create the story. You don't create necessarily all the circumstances and the actual physical things that are happening, although some of them, maybe you do. But it's the story you tell yourself. And if you can start to change that interpretation, that story, you will change how you feel. In other words, start to relieve some overwhelm. And there's a kind of a little bit of a game that we talk about in terms of just a phrase that you can use, is whenever you find yourself saying, I've got to do the shopping, and I've got to pick up the kids from school, I've got to take the son to this class, Whenever you find yourself saying that phrase, remember, you don't have to do any of it. You get to. You get to take your child to football. You get to go to the shops, to buy food, to feed your family. And it's just a really simplistic, simple, easy to do change in the story that you're telling yourself. And ultimately what we're talking about there is gratitude. Recognizing how lucky we are and recognizing that none of this really is a major deal. And just one final thing that I will add to that, anybody that's listened to our Success School podcast will know that I always ask guests at the end when I interview them, what's your definition of success? And I really encourage everybody to look at that definition of success, because usually on some level, if they're truly honest with themselves, they're valuing accomplishing things. That's how they're seeing success, right? Which is why they're feeling overwhelmed. Because we don't spend every minute of every day accomplishing stuff. We're always working towards or dealing with challenges and managing things. So if you're only successful when you've accomplished something, then you're going to spend a lot of your life not feeling successful, and therefore it can create overwhelm. What would happen if you found the definition of success to be doing things that are meaningful or fulfilling? Because suddenly, actually, going to buy food to feed your family can be pretty meaningful, pretty important. If that's how you could reframe it in your mind, taking your son to football practice, maybe something that's a deadline to work on at work, rather than needing to be like, I'm not there yet, I'm stressed, I have all this stuff to do. You can go, actually, I'm pretty successful. I'm doing meaningful stuff. It's fulfilling. Might not always be easy, but hey, I'm not going to put so much value on needing it to be easy or whatever. I'm going to put the value on, am I doing things that are meaningful, that matter? And just by reframing and changing what success means to you, changing the story, changing the perspective of what you're working on doing, the physical circumstances are no different, but how you feel about it can drastically change. Anything you want to add to that, Helen?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned from you, it's a saying that you've used quite a few times that I come back to in my own head when I start feeling like that, is that pressure is a privilege. And
Right.
I remind myself of that all the time. If I start feeling like, oh, I've got too much to do and it's like, but how lucky, how privileged are you that you're in a position that you've got these responsibilities and that, you know, you get to serve people in this way. And just like you've said, it's reframing it, isn't it, into, yes, it's pressure, but I'm also actually really privileged to have the opportunity to serve these people in this way.
Great. Absolutely love that. And ultimately, pressure is what creates diamonds. So if you want a fulfilling life, if you want, a great quality of life, pressure, failures, stress is all a part of that. And I think what we're talking about here ultimately is the self-awareness to change the perspective when it doesn't serve you. Because perspective brings peace. You can take two people going through the exact same challenge. One chooses to see the learning, the growth, the gifts, the gratitude, and other person just sees the negativity, plays the victim. Why me? Poor me. Life's so hard. The two people going through the exact same scenario. The perspective on the scenario is what creates the emotion and therefore the experience. This is absolutely huge. Something else that I speak about is talking about how long an emotion actually lasts from like a biochemistry kind of way we look at it. When you look at the process that takes place within us when we feel an emotion, there's a certain amount of time that we can stay in a state. And I always say to people when I'm coaching this, like, what do you think is the longest you can feel an emotion for? And I say, like, think of a time where you felt really angry. How long did it last? And so on. And I'll put it to the comments now. Does anyone know what the answer is? I know some of you will be watching this that I've taught this to before. So that's great. If you have the answer, share it. If you're not sure, just tell us a guess. I can see here. So is it LHJ? Is it? Love the tip of changing the story and practicing gratitude. Sometimes it's a case of taking a step back for a minute and taking a deep breath, isn't it? We'll definitely try this. Thanks. Oh, my absolute pleasure. And actually, at the heart of a lot of what I work on with clients and what I coach, it comes down to that at the heart of it. But it's one of those that's easier said than done. So even when people have learned this intellectually, they still consistently are not doing it. And a lot of what I work with on people is helping them identify in real time when they're not doing it. And then it over time becomes a new pattern that we create. Is there any comments over there on Facebook, Helen, that you can see?
Have a look. We have got Jenny has said, answering your question, how long does an emotion last? Is it 15 seconds? Her memory isn't the best.
Okay.
And she's just said, pressure is a privilege. I love that. What a great way to reframe it.
Great. We got Carol over on Instagram says, I love that perspective brings peace. Absolutely. But it can also bring a lot of pain.
Yeah.
It's just a choice. What's the perspective that you're going to pick? Jeanette saying there, this helped me so much when I was diagnosed with my heart condition. I still get to go to the gym. I am helping others through my experience. And you know what? It's been a big help working on the inner. Again, Jeanette, someone who I worked with, I think about 4 years ago now, on and off for a couple of years as well. And what an amazing journey that Jeanette's been on. And of course, Carol Whiteley has got the right answer. She knows it's 90 seconds. I always remember you telling me that. Yeah, you can look this up, Google it. Don't just take my word for it if you don't believe me. But an emotion lasts 90 seconds. So if you feel upset, if you feel angry, if you feel frustrated, if you feel jealous, if you feel uncertain, whatever that emotion is, it only lasts 90 seconds. But then people go, well, that's not true. I know I've stayed angry for hours. Well, it is true. The reason you've been angry for hours is because you have then consistently kept on re-triggering that feeling over and over and over again based on what you focused on and the story you've told yourself about it. So if you get some bad news, even in extreme cases, this is ultimately what we do. We have a normal gut instinct emotional reaction. That's what being a human is. But now you can have the self-awareness that the feeling that is a natural emotion, it is around 1.5 minutes to complete in its entirety. But what we do is, whilst we're in that emotional state, we then focus on the bad, and the story we tell ourselves around the bad is then adding all these extra emotions to it.
Yeah.
And that's how we can stay, well, let's just be realistic, for some people in a bad way for years. I was going to say hours. Some people keep themselves replaying the story of the past and the interpretation of that story over and over again. So this is a big part of what I work on with people. And in terms of overcoming overwhelm, it's the first part I would really recommend you look at. Change the story. Number 2, embrace the emotion, don't fight the emotion. Put a 1 in the chat if when you feel overwhelmed, it doesn't just stop there. You feel overwhelmed, and then because you're overwhelmed, you now feel pissed off and frustrated with yourself, and now you're bloody angry. And what we get is not just the overwhelm, but other negative emotions around the overwhelm. Put a 1 in the chat if you can be honest and identify that that has definitely been you or can be you from time to time. Because it's not just overwhelm in isolation that we feel. We end up feeling other negative emotions. And why is that? It's because we're trying to fight what I've said there is a totally normal emotion. We're all going to feel it from time to time. You're a human being. This is not about not feeling. But what we do is we have that emotion and then we think, why am I feeling overwhelmed again? I'm annoyed at myself. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. And rather than just allowing that emotion to be a perfectly normal emotion, we attach all these other negative emotions. Emotion will come and go. Emotion is totally normal. As we just spoke about there, most emotions, 90 seconds. But what we do is we then fight that emotion. And then we add other emotions because it's a strain, it's a fight. There's a great little story that I like to think about just as a bit of a visualization, which is like, imagine yourself on a beach right now. And you've got a beach ball, and in that ball, there's overwhelm, and there's all these gut-wrenching feelings of being overwhelmed. But you don't want to feel overwhelmed anymore. You're sick of feeling overwhelmed. You're sick of feeling stressed. So you run over into the sea. And you get into the sea, and you've got this big ball of overwhelm, and you push it under the waves, and you push it down under the water. What happens to the ball? Boom! Flies up with so much more energy behind it from you trying to push it under the water. What would happen if you took that ball of overwhelm and you just placed it on the waves and allowed it to float off? I really like that as a visualization. That's what I'm talking about, where I'm saying embrace the emotion, don't fight it. Just accept it. You're human. Emotions will come. They won't all be positive. But rather than attaching all these other emotions, which effectively are giving it the energy to allow it to blast back up in your face with 10 times the force, just embrace it, accept it, it's normal, and allow it to float off. No emotion will last forever, but what you focus on, the story you tell yourself, and whether you choose to fight it or embrace it will determine how quickly they pass. And I would say this is quite a good piece of advice with most emotions. Anything you want to add with that one, Helen?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely learned this with anxiety. That's what I was going to say. It's like it's very similar for all emotions, and anxiety in particular. I've definitely learned through therapy and through working with you that the more I try to push that away, the stronger it becomes. Whereas if I just allow it to be there, it will pass. So 100% that. We've had some comments as well. Lynn has put, I get to put a 1. She loves a 1, our Lynn.
The 1 in chat.
She loves a 1. She's shoved a 1 in the chat.
Great. Thank you for being honest and sharing that.
We've also got Helen Shorty said, love this screen. It looks like Helen has a halo. Oh, it does.
Yeah, I can see it. We got the logo behind. I was thinking I was the halo, but clearly not. Let us know if you have any questions, guys. Anyone that's just joined us, anything you want us to touch upon that we're covering today, anything you want us to go deeper on. Any more there, Helen?
Also had Jenny and Yvonne, who have also put ones in the chat as well. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, appreciate the engagement there. It's good to know we're here live and people are hearing us. All right, let's move on to number 3. This is one of those things that I've spoke about a few times, which is like when people ask you, like, when you was 19 or 21, if you could give a piece of advice to yourself, one of the ones that often comes to my mind is do less better. And I think this is just a good piece of advice for life. I think so many of us feel we're not good enough, we're not worthy. And because of that, we're chasing 100 goals at once and just stressing ourselves out and ultimately creating overwhelm. And I've just found time and time again, guys, it's not the answer. And I really urge everyone on this live right now, genuinely take a moment to reflect and go, where's the things you need to start saying no to and stop? Stop trying to achieve that right now. Because what would you rather do? 20 things really average or 2 or 3 things exceptionally well to an outstanding level? What would you prefer? And what do you think is going to be less overwhelming? Doing 2 or 3 things at an outstanding level or trying to manage 20? So as an overriding bigger picture thing to look at, really take that time for self-analysis and really think, is what I'm working towards now realistic, or am I just expecting too much of myself in this season of my life? And I always talk about this concept of seasons because what people do is go, oh, but I have all these goals and I want to achieve them all. Yeah. And I'm not saying you can't. What I am saying is you can't do them all to a high standard at the same bloody time. So it's about having patience. And it's about working at a level that is sustainable. So really, really reflect on that. If you are regularly feeling overwhelmed, look at what you're doing and ask, am I expecting too much of myself? And also added on to that, how much of it do you actually really want to be doing? And how much do you actually enjoy? And how much are you still doing just because of fear of saying no and fear of, oh, well, what if it had have worked out? But actually, even if it did, it's not what you really want to do. It's about, and this is what I talk about all the time, this concept that self-development can only happen through self-awareness. Be really bloody honest with yourself. Be truthful. Be aware. Do less better. Anything from you, Helen?
Yeah, I think it's that sort of like jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing, isn't it? And we are all guilty of this. I definitely am, or have been in the past, where you do spread yourself too thin. And also, I think a lot of the time we'll see somebody else doing something and we'll be like, I want to do that, and I want to do that, and I want to. And we're so sort of influenced and led when really, what are we good at? What's our lane? Where should we be actually focusing all of our attention that we can get the best results? And I think, like you've just said, it's that self-awareness.
Guys, I am so excited. And Helen, you know all about this, but I am currently getting a new qualification. I am taking on less one-to-one clients. I have got something I'm launching in October. And just knowing that I'm creating space, I'm saying no to things. I've got a really clear, specific direction, and I'm consistently working towards it rather than having 101 things. And let me be clear as well. I'm going through a season at the moment where it's not perfect by any means, but knowing that I'm not trying to do 100 things and knowing I've got one clear main goal, and yeah, there's still other obligations and priorities and areas of focus, admittedly, but being able to, even just things like recently, there's been so many events I've been invited to, and there's travel time, and there's a lot of podcasts we were doing in person, weren't we? All this time and energy, and I've just said no to it all. Like, I've got about 3 events in the next 3 or 4 months now, and that's it, unless it's something really special. So just saying no and just cleansing yourself of all this shit. And it's actually another thing I'm going to come on to. This is maybe more relevant for another point as well. But do less better. It's such sound advice. generally in life, but certainly if you want to feel less overwhelmed, because that way it's more manageable, it's more sustainable, there's more chance of you actually seeing progress. And when you feel progress, you feel good. You don't feel as overwhelmed. So that is number 3. Number 4, something anybody who works with me, has heard me cover about 1,010,000,000 times, but I'm gonna keep banging this drum because it's so helpful, and I found it such a game changer. Time block your days. I'm not going to go on and on and on about it because I already do. But those of you who know to do this but aren't doing it, I would just say maybe consider doing it again, because the whole idea of time blocking is to remove overwhelm. Is rather than having this long to-do list that just looks really scary and like, oh my God, I've got 106 things to do. You take 30 minutes at the end of each day or at some point, and you look at that to-do list and you start to strategically block in what length of time and when you're going to actually get it done. And I want to add to that, be realistic with that. And I also want to add to it, as much as you, like, I've got it here. Look, I can show you now. This is mine that I'm working through today. And I just do a Word document. And there's also the journals. I've got one in there if you want to do it in your journal. But I just literally hour by hour write down specifically what I'm going to do. And the other thing I want to say is, this is such, we've got the one there, that's the printed one in the journal that you just fill out hour by hour. That just takes all the pressure and the overwhelm away, because if you do that the day before, you wake up and you just go, right, it's 6 a.m. or it's 7 a.m. or whatever. From 7 till 7:30, this is all I need to think about. From 7:30 till 8, this is all I need to think about, because you've planned it. But the other thing I want to add is always be aware, what are the 2 to 3 most important priorities that day? Because there will be things that occasionally mean, oh my God, now I've had that phone call that was unexpected. There's been this curveball, there's been this challenge. And then you go, I'm 2 hours behind on my schedule. Yeah, chill out. That happens from time to time and it's all right. But if you know what your 2 to 3 main priorities are, you can really quickly assess and go, right, that can wait till next week or tomorrow, or that can be done whenever, but I still need to get my 2 to 3 priorities done. And it just helps you make quicker decisions when you need to adapt and think fast. Anything from you, Helen?
Yeah, I think it just does give you that clarity. It's something that you taught me to do, and it's something that I just couldn't be without now. And as well, I think you realise when you do that you actually have more time than you realise. And that you might look at a to-do list and think like, oh, how am I going to fit that all in? And actually you can fit it in with breaks when you actually strategically block it down properly. So for me, it's been massive, and overwhelm is definitely something I've struggled with a lot in the past, but it isn't something that gets to me now, because I genuinely do just put everything down. And like you said, you have this whole sort of system of, when does it need to be done? Does that need to be done today? Yes, right, let's allocate it a slot. I know then that today I can get everything I need to done and it'll be fine. And therefore no stress.
Oh, it's such a game changer. I think I was 2014 when I just decided to start doing this. Around then, I didn't know it as time blocking. It was just a concept I decided I was going to do, and I just called it scheduling. Just going to schedule my days, and then I realized it's this big thing, and loads of people teach it, and I get it. I get why, because it really is a game changer. And it's still, as I say, I've got an example here. You've got the journal there. It's something I do day in, day out, and it serves me so well. So we're at the halfway mark of these 8 ways to overcome overwhelm. So just a really quick recap. The first one we've covered is changing the story. Remember, it's not the things itself necessarily that's the overwhelm. It's what you tell yourself about it. The second one is to embrace emotion, not fight it. Remember, we talked about the beach ball analogy of, rather than pushing it and giving it more energy, just allow it to flow. Third one, which I think is a good rule for life, do less better. Stop trying to do everything at the same time. And the fourth one is scheduling/time blocking. Now, just while we're at the midway point, I just want to ask, put a 1 in the chat. If Lynn's still here, she'll be happy. Put a 1 in the chat if you have signed up for our 4-day completely free challenge. I do 1 of these a year, occasionally 2, and that is it. Let us know if you signed up for it, and put a 2 in the chat if you're like, Mark, I ain't got a clue what your 4-day challenge is, just to give us a little bit of an idea of who we're speaking to here. Because if everyone puts 1s and everyone knows about it, then there's no point talking about it. But if anybody is like, I'm not actually sure what this challenge is, or I'm not sure if it's for me, or I certainly haven't signed up for it, just put a 2 in the chat, because I just want to give you a little bit of information. This is completely free. There are always hundreds of people that sign up to it every year. This year, we're doing things even bigger and better, and we're going to aim to have potentially around 1,000 people doing it, right? So this is going to be a massive, positive, incredible, life-changing for some people 4 days, and it will not cost you a bloody penny. I was so excited. I can see a few 2s are going in. We've got quite a few 2s. Oh, guys, I mean, in just a few sentences, Helen, what would you say to somebody about what the challenge is, and if they're not sure about it? I don't know. Any thoughts on it from you? I think, have you done them all?
Yeah, obviously.
I mean, you're in them now 5 years. Something. This will be like the 8th one or something like that. I've lost count. Yeah. What would you say?
So the challenges are a fantastic way to sort of just dip your toe into personal development, I think, as a first step. Or if you're somebody that's already been on that journey, to really sort of kick it up a notch and to get some momentum back. So essentially, what I find so good about them is the fact that it's a big group of people that are all going on this journey together. And it's a few days of consolidated, condensed coaching. And everybody's just up for it and let's go. And it just, honestly, my favorite thing of the year when we do these, because I feel like sometimes when you're doing this journey, and a lot of people aren't members of Success School and stuff, we're so blessed that we are and we're surrounded by people, but a lot of people are just on their own journey. And I think when they come into this and they become a part of something, and it's a bit of a movement for a few days where we're all like collectively like, let's go, and the vibes are just so high, and I love it.
And there's never any obligations to then join Success School. We're not really pushy and salesy. Obviously, I'm going to mention it. I'll mention it on these calls. But it's ultimately just an opportunity, whether you want to work with us further or not. It's an opportunity over 4 days to really give yourself that kick up the ass. If you've been feeling like you're a bit stuck in the rut, you've lost momentum, you've got no motivation, you're feeling overwhelmed, as we talked about today, it's 4 days to commit, and it's not a lot of time to really give yourself that push and get you back on track and get you set up. And every evening for these 4 consecutive days, we go live at 7 p.m. for around an hour and a half, where I'm giving you coaching, I'm giving you strategy, I'm giving you things to help you with your mindset, with your goals, with your self-development. And each morning there is a little challenge, something you need to do that day. And there's also a bit of accountability in a private WhatsApp group, just to be showing up and stating intentions and things like that. And what I've found is over these 4 days, I mean, we've had people, there's so many examples. I mean, we're talking about thousands of people over the last 5 years, but we've had people without going on and doing anything further and without paying a penny that have literally taken themselves from being severely depressed for years to suddenly having a real spring in the step, feeling confident about themselves, having a vision for their life, and starting to make real progress on goals. And it's like that can happen in 4 days if you immerse yourself in it, if you commit to it, and if you show up. Ultimately, that's the bit I can't do. I can give you the opportunity, but you need to show up. But because there's so many people that do it, and there's so many stories of people going, oh my God, this has changed my life, thank you, it just makes it such a joyous experience. And we're not about fake hype and positivity. We're about genuine, science-backed, high-performance mindset coaching. That is what we're doing over those 4 days, and building habits and routines over 4 days that are setting you up to be in a good space mentally and emotionally. Just going to play, it's only a minute long, guys. I'm going to just play, if you're not sure what this is about, the little 60-second trailer that just tells you a little bit more. Helen, if you can, would you be able to stick that link? So if people want to sign up like that, just to be clear, this is completely free. But if you click on this link, if you join us, or send me a DM afterwards if you haven't got it, and I can send it to you on DM. All you have to do is put in your email address, and that just means you'll be then on the email automation, so you can get all the details with the Zoom calls. You'll get the details of the private Facebook group, and it'll all just be sent to you via email. Helen's going to put the link there for you to sign up and join. All you put in 2s in the chat. This is something you want to do, make sure you click that link or drop me a DM. But 60 seconds, have a watch. This tells you a little bit more.
If you've had the best summer holidays, but you now feel totally out of your routine, lacking all motivation, and like you've got this massive mountain to climb just to start feeling productive again, then the 4-day Life Enhancer Challenge is here to help.
I joined Matt's challenge back in September of this year. I've actually lost 0.5 stone in weight. I'm out of this dark hole that I was in. I'm actually living, I've got goals.
You really do come away with having unshakable confidence. It's a great way to really become more disciplined, to feel motivated, and I highly recommend anyone to try it.
Over 4 consecutive days, you will receive totally free high performance mindset coaching, complete with the accountability that is designed to give you that boost and a kick up the ass so that you can start thriving again in your life, career and your relationships. And for the first time ever, I'm going to be joined by some guest experts who are also here to help. We'll be focusing on taking back control, gaining clarity on your goals, setting positive habits and totally overcoming that overwhelm. If you want to finish your year strong and achieve the stuff that you say you want, then click that link to sign up. It's a completely free online group coaching program. Sign up, I'll send you the details to join, and then I'll see you on the 23rd of September.
There you go. So it's Monday, the 23rd of September for 4 consecutive days and nights. I'm absolutely pumped to get started. Like I say, we are going to be joined by good friend and super successful online business owner, Mr. Ross Grant. He's going to join us for one of the evenings doing some training. And I'm going to be talking all through mindset, self-development, positive habits, routines, goal setting, all the stuff to really get you on track, feeling the best version of yourself. It's completely free. I will not take a penny from you. There's also going to be prizes actually to win, to work with me one-to-one, free of charge as well. And that is just open for everybody who sticks the course, basically, as a bit of an added bonus incentive to stay with us for the full 4 days. Because ultimately, if you stay for the 4 days, that's how you're going to get the most out of it. So do click that link that Helen has put there in the chat, or drop me a DM if you can't find it for whatever reason, and I'll send you the link over there. All right, we're going to jump in because we just got 4 more of these steps to overcome overwhelm. So we're going to go up to number 5. Set your environment up for action, not distraction. Now, with environment, I'm talking about both physical in person, but also your online environment. What are you consuming? Who are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you exposed to on a daily basis, both in person and online, media, television, and so on? Are they things that keep you on track, that keep you inspired, that keep you motivated, or are they things that distract you? Because like, if you need to do some deep, focused, important work, and you've got a million things all out, and there's a book over there, and there's a DVD case, if anyone still watches DVDs, I'm not sure if they do, maybe an Xbox or something. You've got all these things around you. The minute you start feeling tired or overwhelmed and you see something that's a distraction, the chances of you then quitting what you're supposed to be doing and doing something else are pretty high. So really take a look at your workspace, your home environment, all your different environments. Set them up for action, not distraction. We're talking about things like when you're doing deep, important work. Are you putting your phone maybe on airplane mode, and maybe even removing it out of the room you're working with? Because even just it pinging can really distract you and then start to make you lose momentum, and then that's when you're going to feel overwhelmed. When I spoke to Dr. Aria, he was a great guest that we interviewed for the Success School podcast, really well educated on these subjects of sort of psychology, and he spoke about this idea that multitasking doesn't exist. Like, trying to do a load of different stuff at once isn't actually possible. You can only cognitively focus on one thing at any given time. Not to think that at best, all we can do is quickly shift our focus from one to another. But every time that we shift that focus, there is actually a lag time, right? And the data shows that we lose up to something around 40% productivity every time we have to switch. And apparently it takes on average 20 to 25 minutes before we will then re-engage with that activity at the same level of focus we were in before we were distracted. So that's why I'm saying, even just the phone pinging off, checking a message, WhatsApp, then you're thinking about that message, to get to that same level of focus can often take on average 20 to 25 minutes to be back. So anything that's going to distract you, you want to be mindful of this, and you want to be mindful of making your environment set for action and inspiration and focus, not distraction. In fact, one of the things Aria spoke about is, I think it was Harvard did a study, and it suggested when they did this study that we engage as human beings in just mind wandering, just like mind going off and thinking about different things. Around 40, I think it was I think it was 46.9% of the time, something like that. Basically, half of our day is spent mind wandering, and we're either focusing on the past or we're focusing on the future. What we want to do is be present, be focused on now. What are we working on? What are we doing? At what intensity are we doing that? And the more that you're like that, the more you're going to get shit done. The more you get shit done, the less you're going to feel overwhelmed. So this is a big piece around doing everything within your power as best as possible to help you stay focused and energized and not distracted, where you're constantly then going to be playing catch up with this lag time to get you focused back. When you're constantly doing that, you're creating a space for overwhelm, if you're not careful. Anything for you on that one, Helen?
Yeah, I mean, this has been a massive one for me over the course of my journey because I write, and I've actually had a break from writing and gone back to it this week, and I am battling with this one yet again, and I'm having to draw back upon everything I've learned on this journey. And something that I've really kind of come to realise this time around is actually self-discipline. Because ultimately, if I get distracted, that's my fault. That is my fault. If I start looking at my phone, if I allow my attention to be taken by something else, I've got to have that self-discipline to realise that actually, no, knuckle down and get it done. And accountability to myself, because it's very easy to blame everybody else when my phone's pinging off. But it's like, well, why is your phone next to you in the first place? Why are you allowing it to distract you? Why have you not put it in another room? Or why haven't you put it on silent? Or whatever you need to do in order to focus. So I think that's something that I'm having to come down quite hard on myself with at the moment. But I think also it's about sort of prioritizing and realizing the importance of yourself and your need for that time to accomplish those goals as well. Because I think, and especially women, we're terrible with this. We're the bottom of the pile, we're the lowest priority. Everything else and everybody else comes first. And it's actually about having that sort of boundary of saying, actually, I deserve some of my own time too. And my goals deserve some of my own time too. And I'm going to take it.
Well, you just brought us perfectly on to step 6, which is to set and communicate, which is an important piece, clear boundaries. And I just want you to put a 1 in the chat now, just again for a little bit of engagement and to give us a little bit of feedback. Do you find that you are a people pleaser? Are you, just put a 1 in the chat now if you go, yeah, do you know what? I am a people pleaser. I like to be liked. I don't like to upset other people. I don't like to say no to people. And generally, yeah, a 1 in the chat. I am a people pleaser. Because this is something I find is huge in holding people back, in making them say yes to things they don't really want to do. They don't really want to say yes to. And what they're doing is just adding extra things to their plate, which in turn is leaving them feeling super overwhelmed. And I want to remind you of that phrase that you cannot give what you haven't got. So if you're constantly not setting boundaries and you're just saying yes to things you don't want to say yes to, you're taking it away from you. And then that means the level at which you show up, the quality at what you can give and what you can show up is harmed every time. So it's really about, number 1, getting clear on what are your boundaries. Where is the line? Where do you draw the line? Where are you not going to accept things? Be clear on that. And then also communicate that. So anybody that really knows me well knows to never, ever, ever phone me. Never, ever ring me. People know that. Why? Because that's a boundary I've put in place and I've communicated. Do not ring me and expect me to answer on your schedule because you've decided you want to reach out to me. I won't answer. There's very, very, very few people that I ever answer to. And it's usually things like estate agents or stuff where it's just like, actually, I need to take this call, whatever. But as a general rule, people that know me, people in business, friendships, social life, all that, any area of my life, people don't phone me because it's a boundary I have set. You don't decide, ring Matt and I'll ask him this question. Like, by all means, drop me a voice note. Send me a quick text, send me an email, because what that's not doing is ringing my phone up saying, give me all your attention right now. What it's doing is saying, here's my question. When you're ready, and because this comes back to time blocking, when you've got the focus and the energy to answer me, you can come back to me, right? But when people ring, it's such an old-fashioned, out-of-date thing for me. I'll pick up the phone and dial the number. And no, That's a boundary. I'm a really, really busy person. I've got really ambitious goals. I'm responsible for my teams. I'm responsible for my clients. I've got responsibility spread out across a load of places. I, clearly daily time block my time specifically so that I'm getting the most and I'm able to give the most. That's a boundary I set. And I communicate that to that people. And I also say with voice notes, as best as possible, as often as possible, do not go over 60 seconds or I won't listen to it. That's another boundary that I've put in place. Don't start waffling, all this waffle vision. I mean, I'm sure some of you have got friends that are like, oh yeah, I'm just going for a walk now. And what's that over there on road? Oh, sorry, I've just been distracted. There's a can in middle at road. It looks like Heinz tomato soup. Anyway, what would I say? Like, waffle to yourself. I'm busy. Now, for some of you, that won't be a boundary and that's cool. But it's my boundary. It's what I expect. It's what I accept. And it's what I communicate to people. And it's something that is a tool that helps me get more out of my day. 60-second voice notes and no phone calls, thank you. And if you're going to abuse that boundary consistently, I will just block you. It's as simple as that. Now, again, might not be the boundary for you, but I know it's a boundary for me. And I know I communicate that. So it's something for you to think about. If you are consistently being overwhelmed, stressed out, feeling you're being pulled here, there, and everywhere, are you allowing that? And is it time that you set clearer boundaries and communicated them better? Anything you want to add, Helen?
Yeah, all of the above. And even more so, you get the people that'll ring you and ring you and ring you and ring you, and you're not picking the phone up. But the more they ring you, the more they think you're going to pick the phone up, and it's seriously annoying. But
I'll always say that, Helen. Like, following on from my point, they ring you, and then it's not ringing out anymore because I've blocked you.
Exactly.
And that's simple.
That is definitely what you have to get to. Is I had to say it to 2 people a couple of weeks ago. I didn't answer the phone to you because I was busy. I will call you back. I get a missed call. You do not need to persist. Keep ringing me. But that's a boundary that I had to communicate to them.
Well done.
And very often that's something that we don't do, but we get annoyed because we haven't communicated the boundary. But I think as well, like exactly what you've just said, I'm sat here nodding because that is true. And I know that they are your boundaries and the boundaries that I wouldn't cross because that's the way it is. But as well as that, you're very good at communicating your boundaries. And it's something that we do all the time with each other, isn't it? We'll be like, right, I'm doing this now, so you're not going to be able to get hold of me for such and such an amount of time or blah, blah, blah. And I think as long as you're good at communicating your boundaries, your life becomes easier and easier.
I have a full team that work for our entertainment company. And they work remotely. They work from home. They're very, very, very rarely here in person in the studio. So I have a team of people where they're on full-time wages through the company that I'm a director of, and I don't see them in person. And yet I don't think I've had a single phone call with them in years. Maybe I've had 1 or 2. Now, we communicate daily. We have a Zoom meeting once a week. We have WhatsApp voice notes and so on. But again, just like I communicate with you, I do the same with that team. I say, right, I'm on back-to-back Zoom calls for 5 hours. If you need me, drop me a message. If I get a quick minute break to look and respond, I will do. If not, just so you know, I'm uncontactable. So it's the boundaries are important, but it's also how you communicate them that is important. Both are your responsibility. So stop getting angry that people are taking advantage. No, they're not. You are not setting and communicating clear boundaries, and then you're not honoring them. Because if somebody consistently is a rule breaker of what you've set and communicated, if you've done it the right way, then there has to be a consequence. Block them. Sorted. And that is all within your control. All right, 2 more, and I'm just going to whittle off these quick because I'm aware of the time. Number 7, in terms of how to overcome overwhelm, set your days up. This is following on from the time blocking, where you have regular short breaks and move your body. So I'll just share a story really, really quickly. I had a client and he was really struggling he was overwhelmed. He had some big business decisions to make. They were urgent. And I said, get out your office. This was a voice note I sent him. Get up, get out your office and take a walk for 20 minutes, a fast walk. But what? I need to get back to this person. No, stop. You're acting emotion. When emotion is high, logic is low. You need to be in a logical state to make the right decision. So what's more important now is take a break and change your physiology. Move your body. so that physically you start to feel a bit better. You release those endorphins, come back a little less emotional, come back a little bit more logical, and then bang, you can crack on. And he did that. So, and that's just one example, but this is something I myself do. This is something I encourage people to do. Sometimes just being stressed at being overwhelmed and stressed about being stressed and trying to stop, take a break, with the caveat, if you can, move your body as well. Even if it's just 5 minutes, it can be enough. But short, regular breaks with a sense of physiology, movement, will change your emotional state. If you were overwhelmed before, you might just feel a little bit less overwhelmed, a little bit more, sort of de-stressed, a little bit more clarity and focus. So regular breaks, move. I mean, the movement might just be breath work or meditation or just something to recenter, refocus, bring you back to calm and help you with that overwhelm. But regular breaks. Anything on that one, Helen?
Yeah, I just think, like you've just said, getting outside for me is massive, and especially getting into natural daylight as well. Just really seems to help me to break my state when I'm getting really overwhelmed. If I go outside, get some natural light, get some fresh air, I just feel so much better. Just a change of environment, isn't it?
100%, and it's absolutely massive. And the final one, 8th, is get help and delegate. If you are consistently overwhelmed and you've done these other points, then for you to achieve what you're trying to achieve right now, you maybe need help, whether that be help from a family member, friends, whether that be employing somebody, like whether it's employing a gardener or a cleaner or a chef, if you can. Like, there's many ways of which you can get help. But trying to do everything alone will only get you so far. And if you're regularly overwhelmed and you've done those other 7 steps, then help, delegation is absolutely key. Right. And if anyone needs help with regards to general life goals, habits, routines, gaining clarity, of course, reach out to me. I've already said on my story earlier today, my prices are going up considerably in October for one-to-one coaching. I'm currently, and I'm so excited, but I'm currently working towards a new qualification. I've obviously been coaching now for 5 years. My prices haven't raised since 2022. And I've had a shit ton of experience in that since then. A whole lot of clients getting a whole lot of results, a whole lot of lives changed. And I'm currently in a position of getting, some new clarification. And genuinely with this new qualification, I'm learning so much more I can bring to the table for clients as well. So as of October, my prices are going up, which means September, which starts in a couple of weeks, is your final chance to work with me one-to-one. If you want to, whether that booking a one-off consultation or clarity call, or if you want to work with me for the full month where we do a call every week in September, if you really want to push things forward, you really want support, accountability, clarity, and help for a whole month and the month of September at my current rates, September is the last opportunity before the prices go up. And it's not some salesy sort of thing. I'm reprioritizing. I'm not going to have as much time, so I need to get back. It's just a natural evolution when you're consistently doing the work and building something like this. So if you are interested in getting help and support from me one-to-one, drop me a message right now, please, and I'll get back to you. Already, all I've done is put it on my story a couple of hours ago, and already 4 people have booked in for September. So I've only got a few spaces, and then September's done. And then as of October, the price will rise. So please do not procrastinate. If you need help and you want to work with me one-to-one and you want to secure me at the current rate before prices rise, drop me a DM now. Guys, just a few minutes, literally a few minutes before we finish. Has this been useful? Has this made sense? Let me know what's the main one from this that's resonated that you're like, bang, that is something that I'm going to really focus on to help me overcome overwhelm. Because as I always say with the stuff that I coach, it works if you do the work. So actually now taking a moment to reflect and go, that's something I'm going to take away from the time listening to this today, and then be accountable, stick it in the comments and say, Matt, Helen, thank you. This is one thing I'm taking away. Put it in the comments, and it also acts as good feedback for us. It lets us know that it's actually landed, that it's gone in. Also, you sharing that might be a nice little reminder for somebody else who sees that comment. So let's get some comments going, guys, and tap some love hearts if you haven't got a comment, just to say thank you if this has been useful. Anything you want to add just before we finish, Helen?
We've got some comments coming in, so I'll read these out for you. So Karen Adams has said, I set boundaries, but people just think I'm obstinate. I set them time and time again.
Yeah, Setting them's one thing, but communicating it really effectively in the right manner and then having a consequence if they don't stick to it is maybe potentially the missing piece for you. And I can see there she said block time, thanks. So she kind of thinks, yeah, maybe she has communicated effectively. She has made it clear that the boundaries are being ignored. And now she's saying, all right, now there needs to be a consequence. Brilliant. But yeah, it's so important to actually act on this once you have the realization and the awareness, because that's where you're going to get the change. See, Joan used to saying, thank you. Had no idea about not calling. And yes, I need to work out the routine. Okay, brilliant, Joe. Anything else anyone wants to say before we finish? Thanks everyone for being here. I hope it's been useful. Anything there, Helen?
Yeah, so Jenny said, yes, this has been great. For me, time blocking, I have to stick to and get into a good habit with. That's literally it, though, isn't it? It is just creating the habit of doing it. I was the same, Jenny. I used to do it for 2 weeks and then fall off it, and do it for 2 weeks and then fall off it. But once I created the habit, it's like I couldn't manage without it now.
See, Carol's put in here, setting up my environment to avoid distraction. I need to do that when I am trying to write. I think that's a huge one and so beneficial, like so useful when you actually do it. Anything else there, Helen?
Yeah, Yvonne said, very much needed today. Thank you so much. Get rid of distractions.
Excellent. Spot on. Well done, Yvonne. Just to say as well, if you haven't already, make sure you sign up for the completely free 4-day challenge that is taking place next month, 23rd of September, for 4 consecutive days. Already, we only announced it a day or two ago. I think there's now 45, nearly 50 people signed up in just a couple of days. So we are going to have an amazing 4 days with potentially hundreds, if not over 1,000 people getting involved. If you want 4 days of motivation, of learning, of energy, of focus, of good habits, good routines, of gaining clarity, then make sure you sign up. Click that link that Helen's put there in the comments, or drop me a DM if you want that link sending to you to get you signed up. It's completely free. Don't forget as well, if you want to take advantage of working with me one-to-one before the price rise, I've literally got a few spaces for September. Drop me a DM about that. Also, if you haven't already become a member of Success School, remember that is free to join us for a few weeks and only £4.76, I think it is, or £75 a week if you want to stay after the free trial, but no obligations with that. Anything you want to say just before we finish?
No, just thank you so much, everyone, for interacting and for being here and joining us. And I hope that this has been useful to people, sharing our experiences and stuff.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm just going to leave you now with some of you will know we've just released, Dimple, Thakra and I have released a new course called Love Mastery. This is for anybody wanting to work better on their relationship with themselves, because that is the foundation to the relationship in every other area of your life, whether that be with friends, with family, with children, with your partner. This is a course if you want to be a better version of you, for yourself first, and then for all your relationships as well. It's an 8-module course. The early bird offer has now ended. We spoke about it non-stop. We promoted it non-stop. So you have now missed out on that early bird offer. But if you want access to the full course and also access to the VIP bundle, which means you get live coaching starting next month for 3 months with Dimple and myself on Zoom. It is still available now, but you've literally got 2 weeks before the doors then close on the live coaching element. So I'm just going to leave you now by playing that out. If you're interested, again, the link is in my bio, but just drop me a DM and we can get you enrolled on that course, and also doing the live coaching as well. If relationships and self-love and self-worth is something you want to work on, we'll play that now. And also we'll say thank you so much, everybody. We hope you found this useful. As always, the mission is to help as many people as possible live happier, healthier, more fulfilling lives. It's very difficult doing that as just Helen and I. So anything you can do to help spread the word is massively appreciated. If you're on Facebook, if you could share this live, if you could go one further, put a little caption saying why you think people should listen to it and what they, could get out of listening, that would help. And in doing so, you help us help other people start to help themselves ultimately. So please do spread the word, share this if you think it's been useful. We will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m, I believe. And we're going to be talking about the 5 things we both wish we knew before we started this journey. This is going to be quite an insightful one. I'm excited to share. Anything you want to give away, Helen, before we go into tomorrow? Is there any juicy little bits of gossip you might be sharing tomorrow?
Yeah, do you know what? I've been really thinking about this, and I have so many that I don't know how I'm going to get it down to 5, in all honesty. But like, honestly, it's such a powerful one. When we came up with this idea, I was like, yes, 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 because there's so much, and it's really going to be useful to people.
So join us tomorrow at 6. And I forgot to say as well, there's just so much happening at the moment. It's amazing. But we've got our next Zoom call for members only tonight, actually, at 7 p.m. So if you're not already a member in Success School, you want to join us tonight at 7 p.m., drop us a link, a DM with that, and we can send you the link. Just tell us what you want from us and we'll send it to you, basically, because so many links, it gets confusing. But thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow at 6 if we don't see you tonight at 7. And I hope you found this useful. Here is Love Mastery.
This is what I believe. I'm okay if you don't. It just means we're not a match.
This is news. Everybody needs to learn this. Guys and girls, we all do. Are you done with dating apps, swiping left, only to be ghosted, only to go on dates that lead nowhere, and you are ready to finally find the right person for you? You may have seen me recently on E4's Love Triangle, and if you have seen me on that, you'll know that I wasn't very lucky in love myself. But in the last year since filming that show, I decided to team up with relationship expert Dimple Thakray.
You are actually trying to pick your wife off something that isn't even important to you.
Wow.
You've got to be really honest at this point in the game. These are my values. This is what I believe. I'm okay if you don't. It just means we're not a match.
This is news. Everybody needs to learn this. Guys and girls, we all do. God, you're good, aren't you? Yeah, it's so true. Oh my God, it all makes sense. To really figure out where it is we were going wrong and what it is that I needed to work on to make sure I have the tools to build a lasting, loving relationship.
So in this program, I'm going to take you on a journey where Matt and I go through those exact problems that you have had in the whole dating scene.
I'm a truly different person for going through these modules and working with the incredible Dimple. It's a completely transformational course, and I just want to share this with the world. So if you are at that place, you just feel stuck, you feel maybe you've got dating fatigue, maybe you've lost all hope in love, please take a chance on this. Give it a go, click the link, sign up, and we'll see you on the other side.